Hi everyone, I'm just popping onto the channel today to share this darling little deck by Karen Dalton Smith. It's called the Steampunk Tea Leaf Fortune Telling Cards. Karen lives in Australia, and my understanding is that she learned to read the tea leaves from her mother and her mother's friends at a very young age. And today she runs a tea leaf reading room out of her very own home where she reads for her own established clientele. She's designed multiple tea leaf reading decks which feature some of the most common and traditional symbols associated with European tasseomancy. I just ordered this deck a couple of days ago through Amazon, but it can also be ordered from Animal Dreaming Publishing and also from Karen's own Etsy shop, which is called Tea with Karen. And note that she spells her name with an I-N, there, Karen, and not an E-N. So it's pretty easy to find, and it was reasonably priced, I thought. So I'm just so excited to dig into the deck. Let's check it out. So it's got a nice little magnetized closure on the box. It's sturdy. The cards are smallish, but they're a little larger than the average Lenormand deck, but they're not as large as a tarot deck. That's great for us people with little tiny hands. It fits quite comfortably and nicely. So we'll look at the cards in a minute. Let's just look at the guidebook. Cute, colorful image. Tiny print, which is a little harder for me as I get older to read. I can see it just fine, but I think glasses are in my future, and if glasses are needed by you, you're going to want to put them on, I think, before you read them. So she gives a cute little history of tea leaf reading, and it's talking about even cards, actual tea leaf reading cards or coffee reading cards have been found dated back to the early 1700s. So this is not a new concept to take the tea leaf or tasseographic, so it's not just tea but coffee too, symbolism, and put them on cards so that you can use them and not have to go through the ritual of pouring the tea, etc. And it was kind of a parlor game, she says. So you see she's got various ways to use the cards. She includes some spreads here, how to interpret them, how she does it. It's interesting. And then she goes in, little tiny picture, and she has keywords, positives and negatives of each symbol, general overview, how that might relate to relationships, career, and financial. So depending on what's on your mind, there are ways to interpret each card's symbol. And it goes through until the very end when you have a little about the author. And there you go. And it gives her website as well, so you can find her that way too. All right, let's look at the cards themselves. So the first thing you notice when you pull it out is this beautiful, smooth, gilt copper edge. And I don't know if this is doing it justice because I don't have a lot of light going on here. Let's see if we can get a little more. I don't know if it's, there you go. See that? It's quite lovely, and it's all the way around. It's very nice. It feels nice in the hand. They have a very nice weight. Not too thick, nice and pliable, but sturdy enough. And it's matte, but it feels slick, if that makes sense. There's a little reflection goes on here on camera. So let's look at the cards really quickly, just so you can see what you're getting into here. So we have the horseshoe. Some of these will be very familiar to you. If you're familiar with Lenormand decks, there's a lot of carryover. And the creator of this deck stated that Lenormand used and utilized tea leaf reading symbolism to create the Lenormand deck. So that's where that history converges. So it makes sense that a lot of it is similar. And it's also my understanding that the author took a few liberties and included some of her own symbols that perhaps weren't as traditional and added them too. the established symbols she was using. Medicine, love that apothecary look going on there. Vintage baby buggy for the baby. Question? The bellows, it's nice. Aeroplane, not airplane, aeroplane. Like that. Oops, we turned that the wrong way. Kisses. Telephone. Heart. Skull. And there are little details that you find hidden in corners on the cards as well. Beacon. Wine glass. House. I love that house. Automobile. Tombstone. And there you go. You've also got your sands of time to kind of echo the meaning of the tombstone. Triangle. Umbrella. Or is it a parasol? I guess it's could be either. Grapes. The color on those is really luscious. Axe. And there's kind of a creepy coach at the bottom, I think. Scales. A few of the cards are a bit dark, a few. But you can still see the main symbol, but some of the tiny details hidden around might be a little more challenging. Same here. This is sneaky. I think there's a bicycle with a basket of flowers hidden down there at the bottom, and it's kind of fading into the background. And that happens with some of the darker cards as well. They get lost in the background. But perhaps she intends them to be this subtle. Maybe your subconscious is going to pick them up, but you don't need to be overtly distracted by them. That was the book. Butterfly, that's lovely, the image. Oh, candle. Cards. I love the look of those cards. Castle. It's a striking image. Oops. Clock. Comet. It's a very dark card, but it does show up nicely. So you have your telescope to watch the stars in the sky, and then that beautiful streaking light moving at a nice diagonal. It's a really nice image. Comb is lovely. Drum. Eye. I do like that. It's like a strange brooch or piece of jewelry. You have your little mechanical submarine style fish. And now it looks like we've hit significator cards. So if you want to signify someone in a reading the way you do with Lenormand, then you would use, if you're signifying a woman, you could use a lady, and she gives us a second lady. So if you're doing a relationship spread, you could have two ladies. You could have a lady and a man. You could have two ladies and a man if we're polyamorous. You could have two men. So we have man one and man two. Two men and a lady. So take your pick. You have a lot of options to kind of specify, and my understanding is she did that quite intentionally, and I think that was definitely a needed addition for a contemporary deck. And then you have, after all of our people, we have boot, hat, mermaid, bridge. I love the hot air balloons in the background, and the pipe. I really like our gentleman smoking his pipe in period attire there. So there, that's a quick look at the entire deck. I decided to share it because I thought it was delightful and charming, and also because I thought that with the current series I'm working on the channel, which is Tasseomancy, so it's kind of all about tea leaf reading, that this might be an interesting option that people that are following along with that might be interested. If they're interested in learning some of the traditional symbolism of tea leaf reading, this would be a fun way to do so. Now, it's not going to replace the full tea leaf reading experience. For example, when you have a cup that is blank inside and you just see the leaves that are left after drinking out of the cup, your mind as the reader is making sense and interpreting all of those symbols without any cues, whereas the interpretation of what the symbol is already done for you in the deck. So there's a step in the divination process that's removed when you use the deck. So it's not an even Steven kind of replacement. It's not an exact replacement for the experience of tea leaf reading, but it does familiarize yourself with many of the common and traditional symbols and their common traditional interpretations. I'm assuming I haven't had a chance to read all of her interpretations, but it's a nice way. So instead of you finding that there's a horseshoe, it's telling you there's a horseshoe. And instead of you finding, I think I see a ring, it's telling you, nope, you're definitely seeing a ring. And there's no room for interpretation there. There's room in how you interpret the meaning of a ring, but that it's a ring is already established. So I think you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, but that aside, it would be also a more convenient way to engage with, the idea of tea leaf reading without all the hassle, without all the mess. So if you're wanting to take it with you because you're traveling, or just, I don't know, out of tea, whatever it is, it's small and portable and clean and dry, and you don't need all of the other stuff to do the reading. You just need your deck, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed looking at the deck with me. I think I'll play with some of the spreads, and maybe we'll share those in a future video. Maybe we'll even make up our own spread for the cards and see how that works as well. So as always, thanks for watching, and take care.